Hey everybody, Mike Hills with Triton Insurance Group in Tampa. As promised, I'm giving you educational videos that can help you be a better homeowner, get a better deal on your insurance, and more importantly, protect you and get you ready for any kind of upcoming hurricanes that could blow our way again. One thing that we do a lot of new people that move to Florida and they're buying a house in Florida. On just about any other normal state in the country, people buy roofs that are 30-year shingles or 40-year shingles or 50-year architectural shingles. And then they come down to Florida and they find out that the life expectancy on a roof could be as low as 14 years on a shingle roof. And so it's a little bit of brain damage for people to grasp that, but roofs in Florida are under a totally different element than any other state in the country. They got the extreme heat, they got wind, they're constantly being driven by the elements. And so I'm bringing on somebody right now who I have a very high level of respect for. And I'm not sure, I think there's some people look at roofers and used car salesmen as who do I trust, right? But Doug Ford has been running Suncoast Roofing Solutions for how many years?
9 years.
9 years. And all of his business is referral-based business, and you do not stay in business very long with just referral-based business if you don't do a good job. So, Doug Ford?
Yeah, we don't really spend much in advertising, very little comparison to what we do in revenues-wise. But yeah, I mean, we specialize in tile, shingle, metal, flats, and it's pretty much all referral business.
That's awesome.
So it is good.
That's awesome. Tell us about how busy you were after Hurricane
What's
Irma
funny is, everyone
through.
tells me, they're like, don't you pray for hurricanes? And I'm like, absolutely not. I think hurricanes create chaos. I pray for steady rain. Steady rain is going to make a roof leak. When we have hurricanes, it's just, like I said, it creates chaos.
Yeah, that's bad.
So, I mean, we're busy. We have about a 3-month backlog, but we've noticed a lot of issues we're dealing with is very minor. We only got probably 50 to 80 mile an hour winds in this area. Mm-hmm. So, we're seeing blown off shingles, blown off hip and ridge. We're dealing with a lot of tile issue where, people are losing hips and ridge on their tiles, mainly because they weren't installed properly. Shingles are a little different because shingles obviously are, that's your roof, or tile. The tile is really decorative. So we're dealing with a lot of that, but it's been interesting. I mean, I've been through several hurricanes, and the amount of damage we're dealing with this one is just different. I mean, it's not, it's very, very localized to your hips and the ridges, and that's really what we're seeing a lot.
So you said something that roofs being installed, improperly installed.
Yeah. So when we
it's a code. They're supposed to put them on by code. Can we hit on that real quick?
You think so? So the problem is that not every roofer is created equal. You want to try to do it to the codes, but a lot of times the inspections are in between the installs. Like, so you have a dry inspection, then you have a final. Well, they don't really see what's underneath the tile. So you're supposed to put a hip and ridge channel, which is a metal piece that we mechanically fasten to the hips and ridges, and then we foam the tiles to that. So a lot of companies aren't doing that. They're just basically laying the field.
Code. And that's code. Okay.
Yes. So we call it hip and ridge channel, and it's basically a piece of metal that goes on all the hips and ridges, and then we mechanically fasten that, and then we actually, if this is the ridge, it actually gets foam to it. And that gives you the strength of your roof. And then we concrete on the hips and, concrete on both sides of it. So we're seeing the failure of that because most companies are laying the tiles to the hips and ridges, and then they're just concreting that hip and ridge cap on there. And what happens is you get, 50, 60 mile an hour winds, it'll just blow it right off.
Yep.
So we're seeing a lot of that. And then shingle-wise, we're seeing a lot of hip and ridge blow-off shingles. Not many in the field because, as we talked about previously, we have, as a company, we don't install 3-tab shingles. We'll install a dimensional shingle. The reason why we don't like 3-tab shingles.
Okay, wait. Okay, so say that one more time now. So you do not install 3-tab shingles.
As a company, we will not install 3-tab shingles. Reason being is because every shingle, we call it 3 tabs, it literally has 3 separate tabs. And in wind, they can blow up. They're only about 6 inches wide, 7 inches wide, so each tab can blow up in the winds. So when you have a dimensional shingle, it's one solid shingle. So the likelihood of that blowing up is going to be, It's a little harder, obviously.
Interesting.
But that's why we're seeing the hips and ridges failing, because how a lot of companies do is they take 3-tab shingles and they cut the tabs off and they use that for their hips and ridges.
Wow.
Now, we don't do that, but there's a lot of other companies that do that as well.
So as far as the cost from a homeowner from going to a standard 3-tab,
The cost, that's the funny part, is the cost is not that much. You might be looking at a couple $100, less expensive.
so 10%, not even 10%.
Not even 10%.
And the new houses that are being built all over the place, brand new that they're selling them. They're selling brand new houses cheaper than what people can go get.
As a roofer,
that's a construction. That's the costs are put into the construction cost for that house. Cheaper doors, cheaper walls, cheaper than it's technically has to be in the code.
We as a company can't actually do new construction most of the time unless we deal with a builder that's specialized and they want high-end, high quality. Most builders, they just want the cheapest price.
That's interesting. So how does when they put the decking on, right? How do they put staples on a new house and still pass code?
Well, I don't really in today's new construction, we don't see much. I don't see staples anymore. That was probably done, 20, 30 years ago.
What we see is when we get a wind mitigation done on a new construction house that someone will just have you only need a wind mitigation on 2001 or older houses, but sometimes people still get wind mitigations done on a brand new house because that's what they're programmed in their heads. Yep. And we look at the wind mitigation and the roofs are held on with staples.
Really? Wow. We see, because we don't do a lot of new construction, we don't really see that end of things. So It doesn't surprise me though. I see lots of things when we come to homes that aren't exactly up to snuff.
So one thing that I remember a few years ago in May, probably 2015 or whatever, there was the hail that came through, and all these infamous hail claims came rolling through Tampa with everybody saying that their roofs were damaged by hail, and roofers from out of state were knocking on everybody's doors, guaranteeing they get a new free roof.
Yes, we won't name names here because obviously but we, I've lived in Florida almost 20 years, and I can't recall a hailstorm in my life in Florida. But I do. It's very localized. So we did do a project in an area in Lutz that actually had a real small hailstorm, and it was true. It was one area, but people are doing. So these roofers are targeting these neighborhoods, are going door to door, knocking on doors, and saying, "I can get you a free roof. There's a blown off shingle up there." And literally, they're getting people free roofs.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's fraud to me, but obviously, people don't really.
The screen enclosure's fine.
Yeah, that's
the cars are fine.
That's what we look at, because you have metal on all the roofs. You have these either off-ridge vents or GRV vents. We look to see if there's dents on them. Because it's real thin metal. If your roof is damaged from hail, those should be damaged as well, and they're not. Same thing with screens. Your screens should be blown out if you're getting hail damage. At least a couple, but they're not. So.
Doug, any tips for anybody as far as like the next Irma is coming, or you remember the 2 days before Irma when everybody was running around, the chaos, and what should be done with the roof? Anything that should be done with the roof?
It's just staying on top of things. I'm not saying anyone should get on the roof per se, but get a professional out there to look at your roof, see if what's going on, make sure there's no issues, make sure you're doing what you could do preventative wise. There's always things that we find wrong that people just neglect because it's up there on the roof. They don't want to get up there, so they just assume everything's fine. Yeah. Until the water's coming in their home.
Yeah,
they don't realize anything's wrong.
And keeping the roof clean is probably one of the biggest things and I'm talking about gutter, I suppose, that I'm getting into gutter and the drainage, which is not roofing.
So you have neighborhoods that are deed restricted, obviously, and they're telling people you have to clean your roof. Well, a lot of times when you clean shingle roofs, I see the life expectancy kind of going down a little bit. Tile's a little different because tile is decorative. So, yes, you can clean a tile roof and it's fine, but shingles, I kind of urge against that.
Anything someone should know if the roof is shot? How can somebody go look at their roof right now and just tell if it's shot?
Simple thing is you have gutters in your house. Just look in the gutters. Do you see a bunch of granules in the gutter? My roof is only 12 years old and I have granules galore in my gutters. And my roof is 12 years old and it's already failing. Yeah. So that's one way you can look at it. And if you want to get on the roof, you can bend the corner of the shingles if they're really brittle. That's another sign. If you have a 3-tab roof, 3-tab roofs are just the flat shingles, you'll see it curling. Literally, the shingles will actually curl. That's one way to tell. But age is always in Florida, like we talked about. A roof doesn't last much more than 14 to 20 years is kind of the expectancy.
Yeah. Doug, tell us about your roof replacement program that Suncoast does.
Well, we teamed up with a company called No Roof Left Behind. So what we do is we promote it to the entire Hillsborough County area. This year we're giving away one roof. Next year we're probably going to do 2 roofs. And basically anyone that's in need of a roof, you submit us your pictures, your story, and then we go through them, and we're going to pick the final 4. And then then after that, the community is going to pick it. So we're going to install the roof the end of November, beginning of December.
That's awesome. Doug Ford, Suncoast Roofer, great company, great service, gives back to the community. Stay safe. Thanks for watching this video.